we're back unexpectedly today with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glasser coming right back at you from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast, plus also as well Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, and Game Source. Go ahead and check out what Ox 1947 is doing today at LakersBall.com. Plus, also, he has a great company that you got to support if you live in the Southern California area. Symbolates. Symbolates with a Y.com. Our new friend, Empire Jeff TV, go ahead and check him out. Try to get him to a legitimate 1,000 subscribers by subscribing today to his YouTube channel. Same thing with John McCallion. Get him to a legitimate 1,000 subscribers by subscribing to his great channel as well. And our good friends, Laker Tom, the number one Lakers blogger that's out there, and Jamie Sweet. You can find those two arguing not only here on this great channel, as you did on Saturday, and as I did on Saturday. I was watching it last night, the rerun, while I was making dinner last night. Like, oh, they were going at it once again. Just you can't put those two into a room, not even a virtual room. But find out why each and every day at Lakerholics.com, plus Laker Tom's latest article, which we'll discuss a little bit about today because it's another head scratcher right there for you. But if you could go ahead and support all that. Plus, speaking of subscribers, as this title of this episode is, we were riding high, thinking we had a wave of consumers coming in, subscribing and listening to what I had to say to subscribe to this show and on YouTube, and we celebrated and we rejoiced. But I said, let's keep an eye just to make sure this is legit, because I wasn't sure. You build up 200 plus a day, like some of the big channels that are out there, and it's like, I don't know, kind of seems a little fishy. And sure enough, it was, as we watched the subscribers dwindle and dwindle and dwindle back below the 1,000 mark, back to where we had it a few days ago. Right there around 950. So please go ahead. You can help get us back over the 1,000 mark by subscribing today, so you can give collectively with us the middle finger right there to all the trolls, to all the bots who tried to get us over and show us. Yeah, exactly, right there. But for those out there that are going to go ahead and try and hit me up, I feel like that there's going to be like a mafia person coming around the corner, like a DM.
Psst. Like a Jackie Treehorn?
Yes, exactly. Psst. Hey, buddy, you know, we got you up over 1,000 subscribers. You know, you could use our help, right? We could just take it away from you just like that if you don't. So I get those kind of offers each and every week, every other day. But this is kind of weird. So I will say, though, to those individuals trying to manipulate our subscribership, you can't back us down. You can't stop us from achieving success. And even when somebody in our own chat room behind the scenes tells us we shouldn't do any more specials, we don't care. We're the Lakers Fast Break, and we're going to do what we want when we want, because we're the Lakers Fast Break podcast. But it is a great show. We are going to have some great conversation, despite the fact we're back under 1,000 subscribers. We truly appreciate everyone who has legitimately subscribed. And here today to talk about what's going on with FIBA, and also what Laker Tom said lately about the White Mamba. Really? Good man indeed. He's the madman from Toronto. You just got to go ahead and make sure he gets out of Toronto traffic, because he's going to tell you that if he sees that bot, he'll put them in Toronto traffic. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice, the man who's been following FIBA like no one else on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. If you haven't been watching it, you're missing out. Sean, great to have you here. And by the way, excellent coverage on the FIBA World Cup on playback. Your thoughts, though, first on how you felt as we went over 1,000 up to 1,200 and back down again in a matter of moments. And it just seemed like it was so disheartening. But you know what? We're going to come back strong. We're going to overcome this like no one else.
Yes, you know what? Obviously it was false hope, Gerald, but cooler heads prevailed. You tempered expectations for all of us. just as a captain is supposed to. It was realistic, and you were able to provide reason, and ultimately, what Gerald had to say, like really made us all feel um, not satisfied, but resolved to the fact that this had nothing to do with the Lakers fast break. Um, we're 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 building this thing from the dirt up. A beautiful plant starts in the dirt. And Gerald, I'm disappointed, but we move on, and
Yep.
we're going to get there. We just got to keep putting in the work and keep delivering authenticity to the audience.
Absolutely. And speaking of authenticity, those customers, those consumers, those listeners, those viewers out there who legitimately do have a hankering for us, do have a liking to us, do have a subscription to us, it is much beloved. And whether you have an audio subscription to us like Darren, or the 950 plus viewers out there who are subscribed to us, we truly appreciate everything that they give to us and the time that they take in watching what we do here at the Lakers Fast Break.
Absolutely.
All
They're why
right.
we're here. They're why we're
Absolutely.
here, and they're why we're continuing.
Absolutely. Because we could have taken that at this very disheartening. And I know some people behind the scenes were mad, but me, again, I have to see it to believe it. And I had a feeling it was just like, it's a little too good to be true. And sure enough, it was. But we will get over the hump. We'll get beyond what we were at that point in time a couple days ago. We'll get better and get better. As I'm sure of it, because we are the best Lakers show that's out there. But we're covering the world of basketball because Allison said, is this really the topic that you guys are talking about? In a way, it was. In a way, it was. Because we'll be talking basketball. Absolutely. If you watch the description below, you'll see that they actually put on there the FIBA World Cup and the action that's going on. Plus, we'll talk a little Austin Reeves. But first, it is the World Cup. There has been a couple major surprises and unfortunately a disappointment again for the Philippines. I'm so rooting for them, so they're especially as the host country. I know what a victory means for them. Again, victory snatched away from them by the jaws of defeat once again.
Absolutely, Gerald. It was a little disheartening effort there. I thought that game would be competitive, and it was. Philippines tried to execute a great ball game. It just came up a little short, a little disappointing. But hopefully, with this last game, they could play spoilers and go home and take the Italians with them.
We need to get to the place where we need to be in order to get to where we want as far as being able to actually become that huge monstrosity known as Lakers fast break, so we can communicate the world of basketball out there just like they can as far as what they're doing in the Philippines. Just truly disheartening to see what Jordan Clarkson is going through at this point in time, because you can see on his face, you can see the will that and determination that that man wants to go ahead and carry the entire country on his shoulders, just like Luca does at times. He's trying to do the same himself. They have one more shot at it, I believe, against Italy, and I'm hoping they get it done.
Yeah, I hope so too. Especially considering the fact that the big shocker in that group, Gerald, is that the Dominican Republic have a chance to go 3-0 and finish first in the group. A big win today over the Italians and Carl Anthony Towns. Like we were saying, if FIBA rules were instituted into the NBA, Carl Anthony Towns would win the MVP hands down. The Dominican Republic just shot crazy from beyond the arc. Gerald, 16 made threes. I don't think they'll have a shooting performance like that again, but it just happened at an opportune time. And the Dominican Republic, Gerald, are advancing to possibly a quarterfinals in the FIBA World Cup.
Very impressive indeed, and look, more props to them for being able to go ahead and advance. I'd love to see again the Philippines being able to go ahead and pull out a nice victory at Italy, but there is more going on with FIBA, and that's not the biggest news though that's going down. The biggest news was a huge upset of France. Was it by Albania, I believe?
Latvia, Gerald.
Latvia, Latvia. So tell me your thoughts on this as far as Latvia beating France. Really no known superstars coming from there, NBA players. They don't have the list of NBA players that France does, even though yes, Victor Wembanyama is not playing there, but my gosh, you heard Nicholas Batum saying, "I've never been," or paraphrasing now, I've never been ashamed to wear my country's uniform until today." And he was dreading the flight back home to France after the disgraceful performance by them. Your thoughts on Latvia's victory over France?
Yeah, incredible, Gerald. The fifth ranked team in the world is gone. Not even going to make it to the quarterfinals, let alone a medal. It's the one of the biggest shockers in international basketball, probably quite some time, Gerald.
Hmm.
Um, an incredible performance by Latvia, and they took advantage of a lot of mistakes that France made. France just unraveled in the second half, Gerald. Nando De Colo was ejected early on in the second half for a second unsportsmanlike conduct foul for abuse of an official. So they lost pretty much their central nervous system on offense as a point guard. Had to rely on Evan Fournier's ability to create, and Latvia took advantage. Gerald, it was a case of they really didn't need Davis Bertans shooting because everybody else was contributing. And Gerald, I can't think of a player who's had a more rough 4 years right now than Rudy Gobert. Two pivotal mistakes he made on defense. One was he committed an offensive foul off of off of trying to back tap an offensive rebound. He committed a foul 94 feet away from his basket. Latvia made the two following free throws, took their first lead of the game, Gerald, because at that point France had been up by as much as 12. And then inexplicably, he fouls Davis Bertans along the 3 point line with a big bump. And again, sends a Latvian player to the free throw line. Both free throws are made. France went almost 4 minutes without scoring a basket to end the game, Gerald. It was only Rudy Gobert's dunk with 3:27 left. That was their last made field goal. Everything else was from the free throw line. Just a shocker, really. I mean, yeah, it's a shocker because France lost, but Latvia had to play almost a perfect game in the second half, and they did.
That's amazing to hear that France, who we thought of so highly with so much NBA experience, unfortunately not getting it done. But Latvia moves on, and actually France gets eliminated, as Joe would say right there in the chat. Would you say France surrendered today?
We
They,
we
we indeed. But any other things that you wanted to note out there for FIBA? I heard that there's a lot of growing interest. It was interesting that Adrian Wojnarowski, if you get a chance to check out his tweets, tweeted something very interesting. Would have been agent promoted as far as it's concerned in regards to the head coach of Team Canada? Let
I
me hear
think
your
so,
thoughts on that, my
Gerald.
friend, because it sounded like a little bit of propaganda. I know that we got accused of Laker propaganda the other day by a troll. I'm just saying, when I hear and read Adrian Wojnarowski tweet the success of the head coach for Team Canada, your thoughts on this, my friend? Because, and also the wording was there that, oh, he looks like he's going to be a really good candidate for some upcoming NBA jobs. Hmm. The timing thing about King's assistant Jordy Fernandez and Team Canada.
Absolutely, Gerald. I couldn't help but thinking the same thing when I read that tweet. It's almost as if there's extra sensory perception with the Lakers fast break as there is, it seems, with CAA and Adrian Wojnarowski. That I think you could put two and two together and it still makes four there. I do think that was kind of a nudge into the wink wink Give this guy some interviews coming up because he's probably in line for a head coaching job. Absolutely was thinking the same exact thing, Gerald. And just to add, just another note on FIBA. I think it's great. I think a lot of attention's being brought to the tournament. I really don't. As much as I do think that ultimately, I think the United States will prevail, probably over Canada or Australia. It seems like it's a very competitive tournament. Well, and I know that there have been a lot of 20 plus, 30 plus point blowouts, but the really competitive games have been as advertised. And Australia and Germany played a great game, Gerald. Unfortunately, I thought the Boomers got robbed at the end. I thought Josh Giddey was fouled on his 3-point attempt.
So you're saying the refs in international ball missed a call? What are
I
the odds
am.
of that happening?
I know, just like the NBA, right? Who would have figured? But
Exactly.
unfortunately, but
Foul. No foul. Let it go.
former Laker Dennis Schroeder was the player of the day. Gerald, just 30 points in a great win for
He
Germany,
should
and
play just internationally the whole time because never question about his game over on that side of the pond.
no, not at
Never.
all. Not at all. Made 5 threes today, Gerald, and was 5 of 5 from the free throw line. And if he had played like that throughout his tenure as a Laker, Gerald, he would have gotten over 100 million. That's for damn sure.
That's for sure indeed. But you have it there. The Team USA will play their next game tomorrow, 5:40 Pacific, 8:40 a.m. right in the Monday morning rush hour for traffic right there for you for everybody headed to work. But Magic Man will be there. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. So hear his thoughts. What's going on with the world of Team USA as they face off against?
In Greece.
There you go, Team Greece indeed, and then Team Jordan. That's the one I don't think anybody will win. That's
I think that'll be a lot
yeah.
like the Canadian Lebanon game.
I will say this, Magic Man. If you do actually go and check out that game on playback, I'm actually seriously going to go on, wake up, get on, saying, "What the hell's wrong with you, man?" and get off. So there
Yeah,
you
no,
go.
no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm a hoop head, but I'm not gonna wake everybody up for that, Joe.
Yeah,
You have
that
my
sounds
word.
sounds good though. But that's the Jordan game at 1:40 a.m. Pacific, 4:40 a.m. Eastern. But that's upcoming in Wednesday. Monday it is 5:40 a.m. Pacific, 8:40 a.m. Eastern for the Team USA versus Greece. So look forward to that. But also here today, good man indeed. He is Ox 1947. He is not too thrilled with those bots, and he had some descriptive words to say to all those individuals responsible for that, as far as getting us to that point and then bring us back. It is Joe Soro. Joe, good to have you here. We're going to get back over 1,000, rest assured, my friend, but we're talking FIBA right now. Any thoughts? I know that France, they've gone bye-bye, and it looks like right now that's another big competitor for Team USA that's gone out the door.
For the bots,
Au revoir, bon
you.
voyage.
Uh,
That's for the bots.
no, this is for the bots. You. The France. What to say about France without being
If you ever want to
ironical?
visit Paris one day, it is now actually right on the line right now.
I mean, would you say they surrendered today?
Yeah. Yeah, you said that. I thought that was
You
very
surrender
appropriate.
monkeys.
Yeah, the France is used to doing that, so I don't know if I'm necessarily surprised. Uh,
They're gonna have your picture outside of Paris. This man, this American. No,
the American,
No
look,
entrance.
no entrance.
the sad thing about that resentment is, how do you have the goal to criticize someone who's always bailed you out? It's like getting arrested and no one is going to pay your bail, and you keep calling the same guy to bail you out. He bails you out, and then the second he says something about you for being a knucklehead, all of a sudden you're like, F you. Or I'm sorry, hold on. You. Come on, man.
He's got a soundboard. Watch out.
Yeah,
This
he's
is not
got
gonna
it. He's
work.
got
This is
it.
not gonna work. This was the worst France team they've had in a while. Honestly, Batum is done. He should just retire today. Like he should just not play anymore.
Oh, he wants one more contract. He wants one more
Gobert.
year.
I don't know what it is about Gobert's game.
He's just coming apart at the seams.
He does not translate. Even when he was winning Defensive Player of the Year awards, his game does not translate to good functioning team basketball. He just doesn't. So, but losing to
Latvia.
Latvia. I mean, that's bad. That's really bad. That's still kind of unexcusable. You have NBA players, seasoned guys.
Well, and to think that the best player in their small nation's history isn't even on the active roster, that's the other thing, Gerald. That I know a lot of people won't really think about this in the long run, but he will. If Porzingis doesn't end up winning a title, he's going to regret not playing in this tournament because of what he saw. He wasn't on the floor.
He can't, guys. He's one of the few guys that you're like, this guy has to. This is what killed Yao Ming's career. They forced him to play in China. He had
to play national.
And we were saying it. I know I was saying it. I'm like, dude, the guy happens to be. He's the fact that he's that big and still able to do what he does. You can't keep playing this guy every summer.
So Latvia has a population of 1.8 million. France has a population of almost 70.
There you go.
I guess there's a lot more time to play basketball there.
That's one of the big. It's again one of the biggest upsets in international basketball history. And I know what Joe's saying. This is kind of a watered down version of a French team, but they're still number 5 in the world. And to just punk out like this. It doesn't look good on anybody.
Well, they should still be more formidable next year heading into the Olympics because
you gotta think that's a redemption, Gerald. Especially if Wemby's playing in Paris, and if they don't medal then, oh my God, that they might blow up that basketball program.
That's a good possibility indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. It's Magic Man Sean Grice, Joe Soro, Oxley for 1947, and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching this thing. Please subscribe to get us back over 1,000. If you have not yet, please do so you can get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Fast Break. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is from our good friend, Laker Tom, who spent his Saturday arguing or discussing in a very rough and gruff fashion with, of course, JBC. They finally did, Sean, get through the 10 questions that 10 Lakers must answer. I think they just, finally got around to finishing and completing it all because they just definitely, once they get started and they go somewhere, it just goes way off a tangent. They just spend the whole time arguing, and there you go.
I think that meme I sent you was pretty apropos for what we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. That meme was definitely apropos indeed. But the one thing he said today, as part of his Laker article, is that he is now helped give the moniker in his own mind and his own estimation of calling Austin Reeves the White Mamba. So Joe's face says it all. So you can check it out at LakerTom on Twitter and LakerTom at Lakerholics.com. So I ask you, my friends, this is a guy who's playing extremely well. He's extremely popular in the Philippines right now. People are chanting, I'm him, you're him, you're him. They're really just loving everything they see from Austin Reeves. He's played extremely well. I know Alice was saying, why isn't he starting? He needs to play, as we discussed at length yesterday, about how he needs to play with Tyrese Halliburton at all times, because those two are just the dynamic symmetry between those two is so good. They're both playing so well with each other coming off the bench. Fine. If you want to start them both. It's either both or none. It's just that simple because of how well that they're playing with each other right now. You just got to keep them both in the lineup any which way you want to. So Joe, I'm going to start with you. When it comes to Austin Reeves, aka the White Mamba in Laker Tom's estimation, I can't get there yet. I just can't. I just think that's not where you want to go. I just don't think that you really want to go ahead and go down that road. I just don't think it's very. I think it's a little self-serving, and I don't think, just like how Austin had he's kind of was taken back by the AR-15, which you said you didn't think he should have. It just seems like if you start going ahead and putting that much on him, he's not going to be able to deliver what you need to him for him to deliver, Joe.
Well, if I'm Brian Scalabrine, I'm filing copyright infringement
Exactly.
lawsuit there. So just this is it's already done. It's
But
already
that
been
was done in more of in jest with him.
the obsession with pigmentation in this planet of ours is quite comical, and not the good comical. We can't just let Austin Reeves. The reason why AR-15 was so cool isn't because we're talking about we should have guns or we shouldn't. It just sounds cool. AR-15, it just happens to be a gun. I mean, the game I'm producing right now, you got characters like Beretta, Gatling. You got names, RPG. You got names from weapons. It makes it sound cool. As far as the next White Hope, the next White Mamba, the next Chocolate White Mamba, whatever the hell it is that people are obsessed with calling these names, is irrelevant to the fact that Austin Reeves is doing something that's just not normal, in that he was not drafted yet has a popularity that's also sort of matching his play in all that. Usually you have a Kurt Rambis type. You can even say Alex Caruso had a little bit of that. But then again, Alex Caruso did make a first team all defensive team, so he might have a little bit more merit. But we're talking about, there's a chance that Austin Reeves could be an all-star. And we're gonna get a chance to see here in the next year or two if that's something, if there's something there. And saying all these cool, cute names, especially one that has been played out ad nauseum, I think it doesn't serve any purpose, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to dog on Laker Tom. I know it sounds like we dog on him for his predictions and his trades and all that. But
I just think it's just not good because you obviously associate Black Mamba with Kobe. I mean, you've got a tattoo, Sean Ford. I just think it's just anything you try to do to relate him to Kobe is just not good in his interest.
No, it's not. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, it's just it's not really even about the association with Kobe or whatever. It's not. It's played out. Let's. The AR-15 nickname was great. He hit that game winner. There was too many puns you could say from that this sounded cool.
I like the I'm him. That was natural. Just let it go with him on that.
I'm him. Yeah.
He likes it, and so does everybody else, in the Philippines at least.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice, and it's not that big of a deal, but it's just, I don't know, just the whole white part is always kind of cringy at this point. It's become a cringy thing. That's kind of
I just think it's just too associated with Kobe, Sean. I just think it's just not good for him. And I think that's what the justification or the kind of gist that Laker Tom was alluding to in the tweets and the article that he's making is just how dynamic a player he is. And he's trying to lead you and connect the dots, and somehow he is channeling Kobe Bryant's greatness. He's playing well. He's not playing at the level Kobe is because he's not that type of player. He's a different player unto himself. Why try to put him into one facet of the basketball world, especially with one of the greats of all time like Kobe Bryant? Let him chart his own course. Let him make his own destination without trying to put undue pressure on him, because
it's not that, Gerald.
It
It's
is
part
that
of
with
it. It's
Tom.
part
No,
of
That's
it.
part.
It's
That
that
is
part of
part
it.
happens.
of it.
No. That happens all the time. It's the white mamba part.
I know you, but you're stuck on the white part of it. I
Yeah,
get
it's
that.
like just
I'm
get.
stuck on the Mamba part of it.
Yeah. Because we keep saying we are the world, we
Well,
are the children, and then we throw this thing in there.
Exactly,
well,
Kurt. Exactly. Let him
it's
be his
throwing
own
it's
dude.
throwing gasoline on the fire. That's basically what Gerald's saying.
Just let him be his own. Like actually, like I said, White Mamba, Hillbilly Kobe, Kurt saying, let him be his own dude. Let him be his own person. Let him go his own path. But also here today, good man indeed. Please go ahead and legitimately subscribe to Empire Jeff TV right there for you with the Agree to Disagree podcast. It is Empire Jeff. Empire Jeff. Great to have you here. Again, Joe, I'm not saying Joe's wrong about as far as the pigmentation, about the skin part of it, as far as what Laker Tom was saying about
Yeah, if
anointing
you think
him and
I'm wrong,
White
you.
Mamba. Yeah, now he's found the soundboard, which makes him all the more happier. But for me, it's also more about the Mamba part, about trying to put undue pressure by associating him with Kobe in some sort of fashion by the fact that he's playing well, he's playing with confidence, he's using a little bit of trickery here and there, he's playing with some style, some panache. You know, it's like every little player that ever does that that comes out of college, whether they're white or they're any other from any other ethnic background, seems to be they have to have a gimmick name attached to it. Let's just let them be the players who they meant to be and let them develop into the best players they can be without putting undue pressure on them. That's what I'm saying, Jeff.
Yeah, I would just call him old talent, right? And this is my first time a Magic Man, so salute to you, brother. It's my first time on here with you. I've been on with Joe and I've been on with Gerald, and salute to all you guys. And you guys are still 1,000. So forget what any one of those numbers say. He's still 1,000. But yeah, I call that old talent, right? Because he's one of those guys that came out, wasn't 18, wasn't 19, wasn't, he fulfilled his whole college aspirations. And he's pretty much the same player he was in college. Like he really is. And I've said this before in the chat, and I'll say it again now. Austin Reeves can play on any team in the NBA. He can almost start for any team in the NBA, and he's a coach's dream. So we're lucky to have him, and we have the best value contract in the league, in my opinion.
That's absolutely correct. He right now he looks like it's the best value right there in the league. And Joe, again, I'm not going to fault you for what you're thinking as far as one end of it, but you can't also fault me for my end of it because the fact is that we've seen in these basketball circles and social media, there's like, oh, we got to have the next Kobe, we got to have the next LeBron, we got to have the next this. We cannot just let them be the next Austin Reeves, the next, let's say Tyrese Halliburton, the next Anthony Edwards. Let them be who they were meant to be instead of trying to be someone else.
Well, that's not very realistic, Gerald. The
I know.
public will determine what they want you to be and how they want you to be. That's the whole point of being a celebrity. That's why the public is obsessed with celebrity and famous people. If you don't believe me, come with me to San Francisco during an autism event banquet for Will Clark, and you'll see the foaming at the mouth of people just clamoring at every piece of memorabilia they can get for I don't know what reason. It was a eye-opening thing. It was not anything negative. It's just an eye-opening thing that made me realize there's something missing in these people's lives, and this seems to fulfill it. For someone like me that kind of sits back and goes, kind of maybe you should find something else. For them, that's what it is. So in terms of monikers and nicknames and being invested in certain people, White Mamba, Red Mamba, whatever. I don't care. I just want them to get better. I want them to get better.
I think, yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think, I mean, Jeff hit the nail on the head. We've been talking about it a lot. That is the best value contract in the NBA. Given the age, years of experience, skill set, combine all of those. I mean, rookie at Supermax, whatever, how you ever want to dice it up, that's the best value contract in the NBA by far. Best bang for your buck. On top of that, Gerald, I still say that you made a great point yesterday by actually trying to conflate what Brandon Ingram should do for this team as to what Melo did for Kobe and D Wade's USA squad, which is be a complimentary spot up shooter, handle your business in the mid post, rebound as a beast, and just play within the system. But it seems he's, like you said, Gerald, he's not that kind of guy. It's almost as if he's paralyzed by his own skill set and would rather be the number one option in a bad situation than defer and be on a winning team.
Yep. It's like the beware of the good player on a bad good player on a bad team syndrome, right? So think about BI. Think about it. Back when this was 2018, 2019, right? When the Lakers first got Braun, and BI was supposed to be the second best player on that team, and it ended up being Kuzma because BI cannot be that guy. So when you look at BI cannot be the guy on a team with 1 to 2 other stars because he's got to be the guy on a bad team. I love BI, and I've always said he's up there with like the Jaylen Browns and the Tatum's when it comes to bucket getting. But when it comes to being able to share the wealth and still shine, BI does not have that in his DNA as of yet, and he's proving that he's proven that in what is it, FIBA right now. So same thing with New Orleans. When you look at BI this last season, right? He shined when it was either or, when it was Giannis and CJ on the floor with him. When it was both of them out there, BI disappeared. Then BI got hurt, came back, and he was a shell of himself. When there was one or no guy there next with him, he shined. BI is not the guy to eat second. He got to eat first, and it's got to be in a situation where you're not trying to win. I love BI, but he's got to fix that in his game.
That's just something that his game is better suited for. He would make a good a number 3 guy that he doesn't have to be too much put on him unless you need him at the right times. He's that guy that could probably get you if you're playing in a playoff series, and he understands, like you said, Jeff, the right mentality on how to go about things. He could get you on a little bit as far as that killer stretch where he scores 5 to 8 himself after the team tries to focus on the top 2 players. He could get you those extra buckets that you absolutely need.
And one more thing real quick. Think about it. Remember that game where Rondo hit that game-winning shot in Boston? God, we love that stuff, right? So you remember when Rondo hit that shot, right? So that whole play was designed for Ingram, right? But at the end of the day, it was Ingram, the bucket getter. But remember what do you remember what Kyrie said at the end of that game? Does anyone remember? He said, this is what BI has to get back to. BI has to get back to the not number one option on offense, but the number one option on wing defense. Kyrie said how impossible it was to get off a shot on Ingram. He was locked in and focused. He said on 4 straight possessions, he tried to get to his spots. 1, BI would not let him get to his spots. And 2, when he tried to go to his shadow spot, BI was there with his hand to knock the ball out of his hands. So he effectively said that BI would not let him not only get to his spot, but would not let him get to his secondary spot and get a shot off, and then still cooked him. But at the end of the day, BI, when it came to him to get the last shot, he hit the bottom of the rim. It got knocked out, and Rondo hit a floater. So at the end of the day, if BI could just be the second 2B, 3A, and then lock down on defense with his length, then BI's game would be much more impactful. But because he wants to eat first on offense and eat fifth on defense, it's just not what his body or his skill is designed to be, in my opinion.
And that's the point, Jeff. That's why there's irritation in his game. Mm-hmm. He doesn't tap into his Tayshaun Prince ability, the Inspector Gadget length, right? If he could be a guy that could lock down players or just make it very difficult. Not lockdown, I'm sorry. Lockdown's not the right word. Just be a nuisance. Anyone. Anyone. Kyrie, I believe, is 6'2".
Sorry, my puppy is a menace to society. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He is.
Kyrie, no, he's not 6'2". He's like barely 6'1".
Okay, so 6'1". No matter how much he is skilled, no matter how well he handles the ball, no matter how many times he can get to the rim at will, when you have a guy who's 6'7", who has arms like a 7'2" guy, you're gonna have to deal with stuff, even if you make the shot. That's the whole point there. And his game is sloppy. I always thought BI's game was sloppy. It's not a pretty game. It's sloppy. He's all over the place. He'll hit shots from the elbow and make them, but doesn't ever make me feel like it was a devastating shot to where we're like, man, if we don't stop BI, this thing's gonna get away from us. He's just not. That's not his game, because there is something up here that doesn't allow him to impose his will. Which
he's had moments. He's had moments. He's had moments,
but his skill set shouldn't have moments. He should have
right.
His body, his physique, much like Kevin Durant, except Kevin Durant's much taller. That is the perfect physique for an NBA player, not only in the sense of being able to get shots off, being effective on defense, but also the weight on your knees, your ankles, your joints. It's going to take less of abuse, and there's just no taking advantage of it, and it's unfortunate, because he should be better than he is.
You hit on the head. You said his Tayshaun Prince. He's more focused on being KD than being Tayshaun Prince. If he can find a middle model between the two of those, I don't know if
he could have been KD if he was
Prince,
5 inches taller.
Yeah,
he's not though.
No, but
he
looks a little doughy now, right? He looks heavier, right?
Yeah.
BI was always too skinny, right? And now he's like not too big, but he's weird. Like his body is like
he's maturing. Usually when you get older, unless you're Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller is one of those genetic freaks.
Jamal Crawford.
As you hit the late 20s, early 30s is when your body starts to really fill out. And you'd have to purposely have a impeccable diet to stay the way you were in your early 20s or when you're a teenager. That's the part. It's not a bad thing either. The filling out is supposed to be what your body's supposed to do. But his issue is it's above the neck. He just doesn't want it enough. And I'm sure if we said this to his face, he'd look at us like we were a bunch of, crazy people. But his game speaks otherwise, because he has the skill set, he has the ability. He doesn't go all the way with it.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that the game is tomorrow, Alice, Monday morning, 5:40 a.m. Pacific, 8:40 a.m. Eastern. For those who want to go ahead and catch their Monday morning Team USA basketball, they're going to go ahead and play against Greece. So we have the game, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Once again, that's playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Blue Magic says he loves Jeff joining these. Salute. Truly appreciate Jeff joining us. Once again, it is Joe Soro, Magic Man Sean Grice, and Empire Jeff. It's Gerald Glassford right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Before we head on out, I want to go ahead and say, okay, if that's the case, the BI needs to be sat down, as was mentioned by Scarlett and by Alice and by everybody out there. As far as the options for the Team USA, we mentioned it on yesterday's show, at least I did, that I thought that you should sit down Brunson and you should sit down BI and keep Tyrese and AR in the starting, whatever lineups you have them come off the bench, have them starting. Doesn't matter. Just keep those two together because they're playing so well and the synergy is so well. Your thoughts, Jeff, on that? Oh, go ahead, Sean.
Oh, yeah.
No, go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, well, thank you. I would say, to me, it doesn't matter if Tyrese and AR start, because they're like the cheat code. So when USA gets down 10, 12, they come in and then all of a sudden they're up 4. I don't think they need to start. I think they need to finish. And if they finish the game, we're in good hands. They need to play together, because that 2-man game is incredible, because they're both impactful if they don't get a shot off. Now, Tyrese obviously is more offensively driven than Austin, and he can pull up from almost anywhere. But what I'm saying is those two, that synergy with those two are just special. And when they come on the court, the whole game changes, and then figuratively the whole tournament changes at that point. So if they get on the floor together, I don't care when it is, how it is. Like if they get out and they're up 15, okay, maybe. But anytime they're in trouble, put those two in there, and it's in the bag, in my opinion. And real quick, Magic Man, I see Adidas on your jersey. Is that an 8 or a 34? 44 West. Okay, nice. Okay.
Yeah, the logo.
There we go. There we go.
I know. I gotta get an 8. I gotta get an 8 for.
I got one for you. We'll talk after this. I got one for you.
That's awesome, brother.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, man, I haven't seen a 44. Sorry, I didn't mean to go too away from the show.
No.
Oh,
typically, I only see an 8 and a 34 in that jersey with the Adidas on it. So salute to you. You got Mr. Clutch in the blue.
100%.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay.
100%, brother. I'd like to get an
Mhm.
Elgin as well in that color, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm looking for an away jersey. The
Got you.
white ones. The white ones.
I
But
got I got some
anyway,
I got some connects on Jersey, so we'll talk.
I
I
think
got
one of these
you.
days we should
awesome.
just go like, lifestyles of the rich and famous. We should just go ahead. Lifestyles of the rich and Magic Man. There you go. So
But
just
you,
explore your closet with
like
all your different unis right there.
it's interesting like talking about all these scenarios, right, Gerald? Like Minnesota has a serious problem coming up because if Carl
Thank you.
Anthony Towns keeps playing like this, I don't know how you can trade him. I don't know how you can trade him. I think you have to get rid of Gobert again because uh I gotta be honest, Gerald. If Team USA is gonna bring up Tyrese and Austin, I have no problem having Ant
But the
play the
reason
four
Gobert
because
is
I think
there,
Abe can play the four better than Bi can.
I understand, but the reason why Gobert is there is because Towns is allergic to defense. And even though you've got good perimeter defenders, if you don't have Gobert in there, you don't have a rim protector because Towns in recent years, especially now that he's older now, he is not going to go ahead and protect the rim the way you really want to.
Yeah,
Towns,
no,
Towns,
that's the problem. That's the bug.
He's the
This is
greatest
what they.
three-point shooting big man. If you listen to him, he didn't say he was the best three-point shooting block big man. He's just likes to shoot him. He doesn't like to defend him.
He's the
It's
greatest overrated big in Minnesota history. That's his
yeah,
mantra.
100%. Yeah, 100%. That's a long list. Like Tom
Mhm,
Gugliotta's on
mhm.
that list.
Oh, I haven't heard that name
Uh,
in a while. Yeah.
yeah. Pekovic's on that list. There's a lot of dudes, just
Superman
right.
too. Yeah.
But it's the bugaboo of all bugaboos, Gerald, because Towns is the best of both worlds offensively for them, and Gobert is the best of both worlds defensively for them, but they don't mix well together. It's like oil and vinegar. And I know last year there I think there was less than 500 minutes played with the three of those guys, but I just there's not enough room on the court for Ant, Cat, and Gobert.
I don't
Nope.
know. I just
Nope.
think of Ant as plays like he did, and that's the thing. Ant is also the big key. Is he going to continue to play consistently at a high level, or are you going to get like 32 one game and 9 the next? It's just that's what we've been seeing so far. People are wanting this breakout superstardom from him. I'm just not sure you're going to get it. You may, but we don't
I,
know.
I think I think Ant is coming. I when I look at his DNA, so everyone wants to call like Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, all these guys the next Kobe. There is no next Kobe. But when you talk about mentality and the whole like you're not my friend, I'm here to kill you. There's really only a couple guys in the league to fit that DNA. Ant, I think Ant has that. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think Ant has that, and that's what I think is going to take him to the next level. But here's my thing: I don't think it's going to be in Minnesota. I think Ant is out of there in like 2 years. So he got his bag, he got his contract, and when that cap spikes in like 26 and his contract looks almost normal, I'm telling you, like Ant, I don't see Ant fulfilling this contract in mini. So, but I do believe that he's coming. Like if I was talking about those next guys, I'm a higher on Ant than a lot of other guys because I think he has that mentality where he's not trying to be your friend, he's trying to kill you. And I think once those buckets translate into that and he gets more consistent, and I think he will, I think he's going to be a household name at that point.
Gerald,
Joe,
I think a good example of what Jeff was saying is just kind of simplified from one summer to the next. Last summer, this guy was eating a lot of Popeye's chicken,
He was.
doing a lot of dumb stuff
and was called out
extracurricularly.
on it.
He
Yeah,
was, yeah.
and not in a gym. And this year, he's playing for Team USA, and he's getting a sweat on before training camp. So I think he's turned a corner here mentally. It's just will he put the gears up and fly off? I think he will. I think he's about to take off.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe,
I
are
think
you
he's a
convinced of
monster
that?
year.
No.
He doesn't. I don't think he's like me. I'm just not 100% convinced.
I get it. I get it. I get
The
We're
why.
not even
I get
seeing it
why.
at Team USA.
the NBA
31 points one game, 10 the next.
the NBA superstar. I'm talking LeBron, Melo, D Wade. There's no weight. It's there, especially after year 2 and 3. and you can
Good
say
point,
that
Kurt. Good point.
you can
Jolly Bees is
say
good.
you can say
Jolly Bees. Sorry.
you can
Who doesn't
say
love Jolly Bees? Yeah.
you
Sorry.
can say that I can say that playing in Minnesota might
It's
play a
good chicken.
factor in that too, because you look at, let's say, Pau Gasol when he was in Memphis, he kind of wasn't Pau Gasol, right? I mean, he won Rookie of the Year, he had a pretty good career there, but there wasn't any kind of energy there. He went to the playoffs 3 years in a row, and they got bounced 0-4 in all three rounds, right? Or all three trips.
He was
But when Pau goes to LA, Pau became a Hall of Famer. And that might be what Ant needs to do. And you mentioned 2 years from now. My hope in 2 years, which is the summer of 2025, is that a lot of these guys that are going to have contracts that end after the 2025 season decide to test free agency, because Laker fans are going to be very, very happy picking out of that group. And there's several. And that's a segment we're going to be doing here, probably, I'm sure, between now and then a few times, because Giannis seems to have been laid the tracks a little.
Embiid as well.
Embiid, although I not really, Embiid's probably not West Coast LA style anyways. Plus, he'll be too old. Likely in 2 years, he probably won't be effective as much as he is now.
That is New York written all over it.
So problem is, New York has to give Philly something, and they have nothing. That's the issue, right?
They got a ton of picks.
So when you were saying Karl Anthony Towns will be traded or leave, or Anthony Edwards will be leaving or traded, my first thought was Damian Lillard, right? Damian Lillard, James Harden, but Damian Lillard does not want to go to Minnesota, not to play with Cat or Anthony Edwards. James Harden, I guess you could send him to Minnesota. He'll play maybe for 1 year and then quit on you. So I don't know if that's going to happen. So I don't know what these teams are going to do in terms of trades. If you think that Karl Anthony Towns is going to LA, Clippers wise, that means Paul George is out, right? Or are they going to send Kawhi Leonard over there?
No.
These trades are dead, guys. There's no way. That's why free agency is going to be an important way to monitor players from here on out. $60 million, $50 million players cannot be traded anymore, guys. They did stop it. They're stopping it right now with these contracts. You cannot trade these guys anymore unless you're trading your entire team.
But you can in 2026. And so what they did was they came in with cap smoothing. So everyone remembers 2016, right? 2016, they came in and the whole salary cap thing spiked. That's how you got the Timothy Mozgovs. That's how you got the Luol Deng. That's how you got the Alan Crabb, Evan Turner's, all these guys, right? Like 15 guys got the benefit of that whole big salary spike. But with cap smoothing now, it's 10% per year. So when it gets to 2026, all of a sudden these 50, 40, 50, $60 million contracts, that's going to be average. So when that happens, you can make multiple moves. And that's why some of these teams are looking back. So when that new CBA hit, everyone was talking this, that, and the third. But reality is the real boogeyman hits next summer. And then that's why you're going to see all these teams try to get off these contracts early and get positioned prior to next summer. So when that does happen, you'll see some of these teams later. So when I talk about like the Anthony Towns and all these other guys, De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, great point. There we go. So when you get into all these stuff, like things are going to really get crazy. And when you sit back and look at these teams that are lined up, that's why we were talking on my last episode. I was talking about how I loved about the Lakers moving forward. The Lakers are crazy positioned to do some crazy stuff, whether it be a trade, be a signing, or multiple. And what happens is they're super lined up, because whether LeBron opts out next summer, even if LeBron extends, like at the end of the day, like the way the cap is going up 10% per year, the Lakers are so money controlled, and some of these teams are so money leveraged and hemorrhaged. The Lakers are sitting back and almost going to be able to accept a 5, 6, 7-time All-Star just to free the other one from the hemorrhage. And so, like when they're sitting back, the Lakers, Rob Pelinka is just sitting back like, let Rob work, because he's ready, and the Lakers are ready and positioned nicely.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. I'm on with Empire Jeff TV, Joe Soro, aka Ox1947 from LakersBall.com, and of course, Magic Man Chuck Rice. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Guys, it's been a great conversation. We will rise once again above 1,000 subscribers. Still had a great conversation, Joe. I know that, again, Team USA tomorrow. I think that there should be a lineup change. So, the last question I have for you guys. We talked a little bit about yesterday's show. I'll start with you, Sean. Shawnee, there you go, right there for you. Well, let me ask you this: thoughts on the changing the starting lineup now? Again, they're undefeated, so should you panic or should you go ahead and make the change now that might help the team in the long run?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't right now. Especially during group qualifying drill. I'd
Okay.
stick with what works for now.
Okay.
Honestly, Gerald, I think I understand Kerr's philosophy, but Ant just recently said when he talks to Spo, he understands what they mean by the Heat culture. So I think Eric Spoelstra is really putting his hands uh, on this program. It's obvious that I think this is Kerr's last gas. I think he'll probably represent them in the Olympics in the summer. But I think that'll be it, and then I think Spo will take over. And you kind of see, Gerald, that Eric Spoelstra has as much of an influence on this team and the rotation as Kerr. So I think if anybody thinks that those two should be in the starting lineup, Spo would probably be the one to tell Steve Kerr, yeah, we need to get Austin and Reese in the starting lineup, and Jalen and Bi can come off the bench
Do you
because you need.
concur?
I think Gerald. I also think that my Austin has a really great on court chemistry with Mikal Bridges, so I wouldn't want to mess that up either. Because you could
There you
just
go.
put those guys in the starting lineup, and it's you go from peas and carrots to like peanut butter and jam. Because
Boncaro as well, coming off as your small ball five. He did a sensational job in the last game.
and Gerald, hats off. It looks like Triple J is developing more of a defensive game because he's actually blocking shots with two hands now.
And he's shooting at a very high percentage, a very, very high percentage. I see like 2 of 3, 3 of 3, 4 of 4. Nothing really stands out as far as the ultimate how many points he get in the game, but it's very efficient on what he does.
100%, and Team USA is going to need it because it looks like for whatever reason Cam Johnson can't get his shot correct right now.
Yeah. So despite what as Magic said with Cam Johnson and also Bi, do you see them going forward with the same starting lineup, Jeff? Do you see them hanging on to that, or do you think that now is the time for change?
I mean, I think they recognize that they've got killers coming off the bench that could right the wrongs. I think that they figure they've got a cheat code there. These games have not been really official games yet, right? So I think when it gets to that point, I think they'll start worrying about that. But I think you hit it on the head. When you got Tyrese and and Austin coming in together, I don't think whether it's at minute 1 or minute 6 or minute 7, whatever it is, if those guys are finishing the game or coming in when you're in trouble and you go down 10 to up 4 and then just all of a sudden up 20, I don't think it matters. So to them, I think it's like they found a combination that they can go in there and that just punishes the world. And I kind of like that off the bench, to be honest with you. I kind of like that because if those other guys come out red hot and they get you up 10, you're fine. But if they get in trouble, then you got this cheat code that comes in and you just control alt delete the first 6-7 minutes and you throw those guys in there and everything is right. So I think I'm okay with that, to be honest with you.
I just think it's the old adage: if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's not broken. But some people will say it was after they were down by 16 to Germany, and there's some faults that people are trying to line up. This isn't even the Team USA. I think with the team that they have now, you're getting the best out of them. But Joe, do you feel differently? Do you think you want to make some starting lineup changes? What do you think for Team USA going forward?
No, stay with what's going on. And some of you guys, it seems like guys like Brandon Ingram don't get what the point of this tournament is. You're supposed to win the medal. You're supposed to represent the country.
It's more about he with him instead of we with him.
It usually doesn't happen in international ball. This is kind of different.
Yeah.
I just saw a post.
That's what made the dream team so special. because
It's
everybody
been like that for years. It
They
wasn't
all
just
bought in, all put all
yes,
the
and
all
then
bought
you have
in.
so that this is what happens
Redeem Team
when
2. Redeem Team 2. Also.
so this is what happens. You just read a quote about Fox saying, "I never dreamed about playing in the Olympics. It might change later." Right? Like the fact that he even said that goes to show you that a lot of these guys couldn't care a lick about their country or representing their country because they're about the guy in the mirror. And that's just kind of how that generation has been taught to respect where they are. And when you don't look at representation the right way, if you don't want to play, then why are you there? Did you think it was going to be different? Did you think you were going to get playing time? Maybe.
Tell
But
that to Walker Kessler. Comes off a great rookie season. He's not playing diddly squat so far in any of the games. So, but
it's
he's probably got still a great attitude
it's
about what's going
international
forward.
ball. If Brandon Ingram was you can't complain when you're winning. I'll keep it simple. You're winning. What are you complaining about? What exactly are you complaining about? If
You
you're
know what
losing,
You know what happens in winning cultures when some guy does that, Joe? Everybody has a meeting and they say, "We don't do that here."
Yeah. Yeah.
they do that in Pittsburgh.
And I mean, to Bi's credit, like he did try to word it okay to where it's like he doesn't want to be selfish. I think he's just frustrating that he's not be able to contribute to the way he thinks he can. I've seen other guys come in and complain like worse. I feel like he feels he can contribute more. He doesn't really want to make it about him, but he doesn't know any other way because BI is not a guy unless he eats first. Like he was like that way in Duke. He was that way in high school. BI has never been a guy because the second the Lakers got LeBron James, BI just couldn't figure it out. And Kuz was like, I can. You know what I mean? So it's like BI needs the ball in his hands. He's got to create. He's not much of coming off secondary or pin downs and all that stuff. He's got to dribble, Chris Paul status and pull up. And if he's outside of that, he has yet to figure out what to do with himself. But as far as like his selfish radar, like I've heard a lot worse other than him. I think he's frustrated with himself more than his role. And from what I took it as.
Well, we'll definitely find out in the coming days, but it starts tomorrow morning, 5:40 a.m. Pacific, 8:40 a.m. Eastern.
I'll be on a bike.
I will be taking the kids to school, so Sean is on his own some on that. Big Shawnee right there. He'll be out there on playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Please keep him company, everyone. We can't be there, but you can by dialing into playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. Is there any other games that you're going to be there for as far as the World Cup is concerned?
Yeah, Gerald. A lot of the whole country of Canada will be likely watching the Brazilians play the Spaniards tomorrow. It's a huge game that probably settles who's first place in the group. They're cross playing, so Canada and Latvia are playing for first place on Tuesday, Gerald. That's nobody had that on their bingo card coming into this tournament. So
True.
No one at all.
So
But looking forward to that.
and as we said, Gerald, I mean, shockingly, one of the three teams, either Canada, Spain, or France, wasn't even going to make it out of Jakarta, and now France is done.
Now France is done indeed. And again, as I mentioned earlier, Nicholas Batum is like humiliated at this point. So he said he's never before, paraphrasing again, that he was ever be ashamed of wearing Team France. And unfortunately, he is now ashamed of wearing the Team France uniform as he heads back after a disappointing loss to Latvia. But
I
let's
mean,
hope to see-
Gerald, you know, France may have lost the World Cup, but Mbappe played his tail feathers off for his country. And I think that's the big difference there, that Batum, Fournier, all those guys, like, they didn't play their best. It wasn't, you know, give Latvia all the credit in the
and
world.
Fournier usually plays well overseas.
He does. He does. But Gerald, those last 4 minutes were just awful, and kind of typifies not only like France's demise, but kind of Rudy Gobert slippage as a basketball player.
It's just getting to the point where that trade is looking worse and worse all the time. But definitely,
Yeah.
oh, Jeff, any last thoughts, my friend, before we
Yeah,
end on that?
let me ask you a question real quick for the
Mhm.
panel, real quick. Which contract do you think is harder to trade right now, Rudy or Cats? Because think about it real quick. Rudy has shorter years left, lower
Yeah,
money,
I would say
and
Cats is trickier.
yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. And I will say this right now, and I may be crazy.
Unless you're actually the GM that's okay, I traded him and I had to trade all these assets. I want something back comparable in return. If you're looking for that, then it is a harder contract to set. But if you're not, if you check your
Yeah,
ego on the door and say, you know what,
yeah.
I made a mistake, let's just get rid of him for a decent price, then that's a different story altogether.
Yeah, so a Cat, like, so if you're sitting there, Bill Simmons threw out the other day about Cat for Dame, just get it done. I think Portland has no interest in that whatsoever. At the end of the day, like when you sit back and looking at it, I think for a team, any team in the NBA that thinks they've got to go through Joker to get a chip, I think Gobert probably has more value at this point than Cat because of his defense and the shorter contract and with the new cap. So I think I used to sit back and think the only way Minnesota could right their wrongs is by trading Cat because they're not going to be able to Cat because they're not going to be able to trade Rudy. Now I've flipped on that. I think Cat is easier to trade. Sorry. I think that Rudy is easier to trade than Cat because Cat just his extension just kicked in and Rudy's a defensive player. He's got shorter term money and exactly what you just said, Gerald. If you're not sitting back trying to get back what you got for him, what you gave up for him, and you just check that at the door, then he's going to be the one to move.
I think any contract after seeing Beals go, which is still my opinion when I look at it as far as value, I still think his is the absolute worst in the NBA. If his deal can be traded, I think anyone's can. Anyone can. Because remember, he has that last year no trade clause still
It
that
still goes
effective.
with him. Yeah,
Yeah.
it moved with him.
So
Yeah, and
I think,
he's effectively acting as his own GM because as he would in Washington, right? So
yep,
he controls everything.
absolutely. Guys, been a great conversation. Once again, it is Empire Jeff TV. Please go ahead and subscribe today. We're going to get him
Thank
and
you.
John
Thank you.
McCallion to 1,000 subscribers. What you working on next though this week? Because I'll let everybody know what working on here in a little bit. But go ahead. What's what you working on?
I've got an episode coming up this week entitled "How Many Rings Will Kobe Have Had If Chris Paul Became a Laker?" And that's going to be with Dan, the Laker fan, on my channel this week.
7.
It's funny you said that. But I'm
Got
gonna leave
an
that. I'm
absolutely
gonna
instant
leave that
answer.
alone as far as my prediction. But I got Dan, the Laker fan, and myself tackling that topic. I've got multiple topics, but I just haven't decided which one I'm going to put first. But if you haven't already, check out my channel. I've got I got the Dame situation, I got the Harden situation, I got a funny little pizza party situation to break down. And check it out. I'm curious to see what you guys think. It's about 10 minutes per episode. I'm hitting you with some quick hits. I got to get back on my live stuff. But I'm having too much on this channel and others. So I haven't been able to spend 2 hours on my own channel live because I just like hanging out with these guys too much.
I know it was asked yesterday, so I'll ask you again. Are you based out of LA or SoCal like Joe?
Yes. I'm based out of LA via New York City.
There you go. All right.
David
I know they
Stern,
asked it in the chat, but I forgot to mention it. There you go. Say it again, Joe.
David Stern can go get.
Well, that's gonna be a funny part of the story because without saying too much, I really think that a lot of people are blaming the wrong villains in this story. And so just real quick. Long story short, I've talked to about no less than 20 in the know people about the situation, and they've all told me I'm 100% correct in my assumption. So out here in LA, it's pretty easy to get with people to cover the league as long as you're respectful. Don't repeat what they say is off the record, and you tap with them and say, "Hey, I'm thinking this. What do you think?" And they'll say either give me 6 months or go with it now. As long as you follow their lead, they'll give you more info. And at the end of the day, I'm telling you, like, I think there's a different villain than people think in that situation. And it's I know there's a different villain in this situation. But David Stern aware because he likes that. He's a mobster. He didn't care. He knows where the bodies is buried. So that's how he's always operated. However, there's a different villain here, and I think he's getting away with murder here, and he's not getting any longer.
So you're telling us he's not the villain. Dan Gilbert's not the villain. Mark Cuban isn't the villain.
No, they're not. They're really not.
Whomever the villain is It's irrelevant. It's
Oh,
the
I hear
fact
you. I
that
hear you on that. I hear you on that.
he's the shot caller. So
I
I
hear
don't
you.
care
I hear you on that.
if
I hear
the
you on that. I
Prince
hear you
of
on that.
was it if the freaking president of Ghana called him and said, "Hey, you can't do this." I don't want. At the end of the day, we saw an opportunity.
Mhm.
We trash Mitch
Mhm.
Kupchak
Mhm.
for the last transaction he made,
Yep.
when in fact he might have topped the Pau Gasol trade should the Chris Paul trade go through.
Here we go.
Mitch had like 3 trades that would top that never went through.
Okay,
like Mitch was a worker. Mitch worked.
you
Like
had Chris Paul in his prime. You had Chris Paul not in his prime, prime.
yeah,
Playing with the guy
pre-prime,
that
almost
loved
pre-prime.
him.
Yeah.
Kobe loved Chris Paul.
Yep.
Kobe
Those
also
guys-
loved Baron Davis, who Mitch tried to get for him as well.
He
That's who Kobe wanted originally.
Mm-hmm.
and,
That's
and,
true.
And
B.
Kobe,
Diddy.
we
B.
know
Diddy.
that Kobe. We know
Crossroads
that
High
Kobe
School.
was good with the ball in his hand. That was always the discussion. Can Kobe be Kobe without the ball in his hand? I said yes. When you have Chris Paul at your point guard, that's like saying,
Less
will you
mileage.
play well with Magic? Well, ask James Worthy how that worked out.
Mhm.
So there's go ahead.
No, don't get me wrong. I didn't. I was just waving my finger. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was agreeing with you.
Well, I'll wave my finger at him. That's okay.
But what I'm saying is, I'm not removing any blame from anyone who was involved. What I'm saying is, there are names who are more, how do you say,
Influential.
that were more that were more. They just fumbled the bag. Everyone says that the Dennis Schroeder fumbled the bag, right? But no, a real fumble the bag happened in 2012, and it was some incompetence, some panic, and some not ready for the moment. And I'm telling you right now, and I will die on this hill. The Lakers could have got Chris Paul. The Lakers could have got Chris Paul and should have got Chris Paul, and the league would have let it happen. And I don't want to go too deep in it because
I'll
I'm
watch
trying
your
to tell
show.
you.
Leave it till the show.
Yeah.
I'll watch.
But what I'm trying to say is that, and it's really easy to blame David Stern. And real quick, David Stern has been, I don't know words I can and can't say on this, but he's been a donkey in a lot of situations. There's an absolute fact in that, because he was a borderline egomaniac, a control freak. But at the end of the day, there are really 4 names that saved this sport we love and made it so we can sit here and talk about it all these years later, and he is one of them. David Stern, Dr. Buss, Irvin, Magic, Buck Johnson, and the hick from French Lick, Larry Bird. Without those 4 gentlemen, and I understand the 2 of them we can't stand, but at the end of the day, without that foursome, like it would have been, this league that we love, we would not have.
Okay, I agree. But there was a time window where he was relevant. 1985 when he became commissioner, and 1998 when Michael Jordan retired.
Yes.
David Stern, by mentioning those 2 guys and then Jordan after, was what David Stern, when he had to do things on his own without Magic, Bird, and Jordan, faltered badly.
No, there's no doubt about that. I'm just talking about the essence of saving of it. Yeah, and a lot of the lockouts were his fault. Like I said,
yes, exactly.
He's still a donkey. Like I said, he's got stains on his shirt.
2 lockouts, and you changed the rules as Shaquille O'Neal was about to Wilt Chamberlain his career. I'm talking, and not in a better way, actually, because Wilt lost way too many big games to be the greatest. You can't have that kind of stat line. You can't be that powerful and go 2-4 in the finals.
They didn't have the depth that these other guys had to.
Very true, but again, if you're going to tell me he's 50
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So
we're aligned.
2 lockouts. A lot of we've been talking about the officiating being crooked. It got proven that it was crooked. You had then your flagship franchise. This is the part that bothers me the most about this, okay? Okay, you veto that trade. Fine. Where does Chris Paul go after that? And to which owner? That is the part,
Mr. Beverly
because
Hills, right?
we sit here and we talk about all the, this is how we need to be, and we're about the right thing, and we're about everyone having the opportunity and all this crap. And then when it matters the most, what do? You hold on. You slap the one franchise that has you everywhere on the corner of this planet to not only diss them, you send them across the hall to a racist, and we've been hearing things about this piece of crap for decades, not 5 years ago, 10 years ago, decades.
Got a new toy.
I did a story.
That is the reward in the end. If he had stayed in New Orleans, I probably would not have been as irritated. Well, if he had gone to Minnesota, I probably wouldn't have been as irritated. I'd still be irritated. But the fact that not only did you deny the Lakers, Mitch Kupchak's probably Hall of Fame career. He could have probably made the Hall of Fame if that trade goes through. You see, it was all a domino effect that affected so many things that we will not know ever again. We will not know what it affected.
Yep.
Those are the things that piss me off. And he was the decision maker. Whomever was the real culprit, I don't know, whatever that is, we'll find out on your show. It cost Kobe Bryant, looking at it from just a Kobe perspective, at least one more title.
Minimum.
At least one more.
Minimum. And one thing real quick. This is the last teaser I'm going to get. One, the league never vetoed the trade. That's one. Two, Kobe never tears his Achilles if this trade goes through.
Of course not, because he's not playing
so
48 minutes.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, I don't see. Well, I just want to ask you how many titles you think. I'm curious, Jared. How many titles do you think Kobe gets? He had five. This is before that trade went down. Or
I think he goes to 7 or 8. I'm just going to think conservative. I think it's 7. I'm going to say 7, maybe 8.
Magic Man. What do you think?
Ooh, I think he gets at least one more.
So my thing is this: Kobe never won just one, right? If he gets one and he smells blood and he's the hunted and he's healthy, right? Minimum 2. He finishes with 7. He's above Jordan. And that's light work. 7. And that's if you're being conservative, in my opinion. But however, the teaser is the league did not veto this trade. There's a definite story here, and the media chose to tell one side of it. Here's the thing. If you read the breadcrumbs about what the media puts out there, you can read the true story, right? As simple as a trade. When you look at certain things, let's say like the Rui trade. Everyone thinks the Lakers gave up 3 second-round picks for Rui. They didn't. They gave up 2, along with the less favorable. That's a second-round pick swap. You got to pay attention to these words that people use, because at the end of the day, that's how they trick you, and they make the value seem bigger than it really is. So if you just go back and look at Woj's tweets alone from that day, which is what I started with, and then started asking around. And I'm telling you, long story short, real quick, back in the day, pre-Twitter, pre all this, and I've even said this on my own channel. I'm kind of giving away my own recipe here because you can't really duplicate it because that error is done. But back in the day, pre-Twitter, pre all this, they had this thing on Yahoo. It was a little section. You can go to Yahoo. You can go to the newspaper section. And you go to the newspaper. And I used to read, and I kid you not, I'll put hand to Bible on this. I'd go to every single NBA city's newspaper and I would read their articles. And back then you could reach out to the reporters and you could talk to them. And a lot of those reporters came up and went to these big organizations, the ESPNs, the Fox, and all this. And a lot of them are there now. They still got the same email. And when you got in with them early, they still respond to you because you never leaked their stuff. And so there's a lot of guys I talked to who first came up, and they still respond to me because I know them way back in the day. And I never repeated their stuff that they didn't give me permission to do. But when I went on this hunt and I started asking, because it's so long, and all I did was just say what I dug in and found, and they all confirmed it for me. So I'm very extremely confident in what I'm saying. And there's a book, and I don't know if it's going to be in 2024 or 2025. by a really big media head that's going to really break this all down. And I'm ahead of him from the standpoint of asking around. And a lot of the people I talked to, he talked to, and it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. You don't have to believe me because, like I said, you don't know me from anything. You don't have to believe me, but I'm gonna make it make sense. Trust me. And if you check the breadcrumbs and you check your own facts, you'll see I'm telling the truth. The league never vetoed that trade. That's not what happened. And the villains you blame are part of the story, but they're just patsies. I'm telling you right now.
Please check out more at
Sounds
Empire
like
Jeff
American
TV.
politics.
It's not politics. It's not. When I, you know what? Here's the thing. When I do this, there's only one person I want to say like, oh dang, and that's Joe. Because I'm telling you right now, when I went down this path, I was upset too. I really was, and I was blaming the same people. But when I started talking to people, about halfway through the process, I was like, yo, man, this is crazy. And then and again, if you do your research, it's been said, it's put out there. This is not me breaking news. It's out there. It's in the universe already. If you look this up and you pay attention to all the quotes, it's out there. This isn't me breaking news. Just no one paid attention to it. It's out there.
I will tell you though, you got to go ahead and check out for the rest of the story because he gave you a nice big teaser, and we're grateful for it. Please check out Empire Jeff TV today. Subscribe to get the latest notifications on when he goes live on the air with the latest Empire Jeff TV short or the Agree to Disagree podcast. Indeed, I will say for us, we've got a busy week. Sean starts off on Monday. Monday, we've got a preview of the Nets because Spencer Shaman's going to stop by. Is that correct?
That's correct. I've got Spence Shawnman from the Fireside Nets podcast from New Jersey. UMass alum, Gerald. So we'll talk a little UMass. They've got a pretty decorated basketball history, all the way from Rick Pitino, Julius Erving, Marcus Camby. So it'll be good conversation. We'll talk some Nets because do you think Mikal Bridges will keep the Iron Man streak going this year, Gerald?
Never know. It could be. I think so.
What's he at
Could be
now?
possible.
What's he at now?
I think it's close to 400 or he's just past 400.
That's tough today.
Yeah.
Shout out to him. And Scarlett, you're right. You're absolutely right.
That's a great record indeed. I will say though that also as well on Wednesday,
392, Jeff. 392 straight
400
games.
is around the corner.
That's still impressive. So he missed a game? How many years has he missed a game in the league? No.
Actually, believe it or not, he played 83 games last year.
Because
yeah, he's the only player in the NBA to play 83 games. Yeah.
So but he's never missed a game in his career then.
No,
because he got his extension plus this was the first year it kicked in money wise, right?
Yes.
So he's fifth year.
Yeah, let's see.
Roundabout. His story is crazy. Remember with the Philly thing, drafted and his mom was part of the. That was just. If anything tells you about how inept and retarded Philadelphia's management is, whether it's Daryl Morey, Elton Brand, or whoever the heck is over there eating tasty cake and cheesesteaks, the fact that you trade a staffer's son after telling her you drafted him, that's okay. Sorry, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's got 3 years left. That's 84. Looks like it's going to be 47, $68 million. So they're getting him on a dime.
And he is. And I'm sorry, Joe, I don't know if you're trying to wrap this up, but if Brooklyn decided to empty the clip, they've got the best assets to move in any trade because they've got multiple 100%. Picks. They got young guys. So if they wanted Dame, obviously they wouldn't want Harden again, but any of these guys that become available, there's two teams on the radar. So sit back. If you're looking at like the superstar factory of how to go and attain a superstar outside the Lakers 2 years from now, the two teams to keep your eye on are Brooklyn, my hometown, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, because their draft picks got draft picks. Like it's ridiculous what they have. So those two teams.
Yeah, and Jeff, I don't think people are really kind of seeing the forest for the trees here because Presti's got so much in the war chest. He can afford to give up an extra first round pick if you really want to try and tug at his short hairs. It wouldn't really work with him. He's got more in the war chest than you can quibble for.
In the words of the great El Guapo, he's got a plethora of draft picks to use here. And at the end of the day, the name to watch for OKC, and I don't care what anyone says, is Zion Williamson. And just watch. I think they have a strong chance to get him if and when David Griffin decides to say, I'm done with this dude, OKC is ready to get him. And they're targeting him. So be ready.
There you go. Also, as well, we're going to be doing a team look at Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls. That'll be on Wednesday. We're going to have Joshua Hicks from the Bigs come over here and talk to the Chicago Bulls with us. Doubles. And then on Thursday, it looks like Aaron Rose is going to come by from Sean's neck of the woods in Toronto to talk to Raptors. I think I got to get a confirmation. He said he wanted Thursday to talk to us, so I think I just got to get a yes, but it looks like he's going to come by on Thursday as well. So yes, 3-team previews, plus of course, Lakers talk, Joe munching on snacks. Hey, it's all right here for you. Again, to the people who manipulated our subscribership, Big Joe, hit the button, man.
You.
Absolutely. And from all of us to them, another big FU as well. But to everyone out there that has legitimately
off.
Yes. But to everyone out there, from Darren, our audio subscriber, who is very much appreciated, to everyone out there that subscribed to us on video, or you're following us on Facebook or wherever, Twitch, Kick, Twitter, wherever you see us, it is much appreciated that you do follow us, and we want to thank you. We're here for another great week. I know we said we'd be off today, but, you know, when you lose that many subscribers that you thought you had, we got to go ahead and say something. You know we got to say something. We're not just going to roll over and die.
I didn't think we needed to say anything.
I think we need to say something. No. We're not going to roll over and die. We're going to go ahead and get back over 1,000 subscribers. That's not a problem. We're going to do it, and we're going to start the trip right here this week. Right here, of course, at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.